you marry me?
Oh my God.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Black Book. You already know what time it is, baby. Listen, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for the notification of the uploads, baby. And for those of you who are returnees, mineral gang, mineral gang. We're giving you guys a lovely review. We're talking about this show, Love is Blind. Are you dizzy, blood? Yeah? Listen, if you can't handle the heat in the kitchen, get out Chile. Alright, Donnie, let's get into the video and let's talk about some things here. Let's talk about it. Alright, cool. So, I want to focus on this particular video, part one on Diamond and Carlton. I think for me, the biggest thing about Diamond and Carlton is that the focus I'm going to focus on is that you know, this guy was crying, saying that the Lord has brought this woman to me. This guy has said, listen, you know what? I prayed for a woman like you. Just giving it the wham, wham, bam. Just giving it big words. Ladies, you've heard these words before. When a guy's making outlandish, big statements about how he cares for you. For he cares for you. Cast your burdens unto Jesus. You know, he's making big ass statements, you know, and crying and all this kind of stuff, saying how great you are, how great is our God. You know what I'm saying? But then he refuses to be honest with Diamond and tell her that he's actually fluid. No, the most important thing here is this. Not that he was bisexual. It says he is fluid.
I just wanted people to judge me for the way that I love rather than who I love. And a lot of times people are misjudged when they're fluid. So, of course, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, what if she has a change of heart?
Which means this is still going on. This is still a feeling he still has. This is still an orientation that he still has. He's fluid. I want you to understand that. That he hasn't stopped being who he's being. He hasn't left the bisexual life. He is still fluid. Now that's a problem. Because if you are still fluid, no problem. But let the person know before you let them commit emotionally. Do you understand? That was your secret, no problem. But the moment you bring somebody into your life, this is a very selfish act to do. Now, I told you that in the first episode of my review. I said to him, I sense a very big selfishness. And here it is fully enveloped and showing itself to be rearing its ugly head here, in the sense of, at one point he said, you know, I just deserve this love. You know, he wants this acceptance and he deserves this love. He feels entitled to this. And I'm like, bro, because of that entitlement to this, you've failed to understand that there must be a communication of transparency and honesty. You understand? And when you commit that honesty and transparency in the beginning, you give that person a chance to also make a choice. Because love is what? Free freaking will. You understand? You can't force that narrative. You can't manipulate. You can't lie and turn somebody into a corner when you know yourself you've not been truthful. Yeah? So you're telling me that you've prayed for God for all this person. You've prayed to the heavens to let God hear you and know that this is the right woman. Yeah? But God couldn't tell you that, listen, your behaviors are shambolic. Because that's what it is. You know, that necessity to take a route where, you know, you've hidden something so big and you think it's okay. For me, that was such an alarming thing to see. And I felt like, you know, that right there, you can't excuse that behavior. You know, can't excuse that behavior. Absolutely shambolic. Let's even look into a few things that were happening as well.
He's seen a ladybug on the mirror. I really thought that was my dad.
You know, he said there was something that was contradictory for me anyway. I remember in the first episode he mentioned about the fact that, you know what, he was just in love with hearts. Didn't care whether it was this way or that way. He just loving hearts. And then in this episode he said, obviously, you know what, he's so used to supermodels, etc, 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 etc. And I'm like, so wait, are you in love with hearts? Are you in love with physique? Because originally he already said in the first episode that he knows he's a good-looking man, and the girls can't see him and know that he's a good-looking, chocolate-skinned man, etc., etc. So there's a lot of, for me, there's a lot of vanity already in the way that he understands himself. So when I'm hearing about hearts, and that, you know what, you didn't care about what hearts it was so long as you just loved the person or whatever, and then now I'm hearing about the fact that your exes were all supermodels, another boast again about you're used to this, that. I'm like, there's a confusion in you, my brother. You see, you can't, and back to the first point I made about not being honest. I don't think he's been honest with himself. Either that, or he's an actor paid to come and create drama on the show. Because I don't think you've been honest with yourself to be able to say, hey, look, do you know what? Like, fam, I am bisexual. Because in the first episode, he was mentioning about the fact that, you know what, he wants a woman because she's more caring, more endearing, more loving, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, so do you want a woman or do you want a mum? Like, or you want a friend? Like, that doesn't sound like you really want a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for me, just watching it, I'm just like, it's not really making sense. There's a lot of contradictory statements that are being made, and I don't think he's being fully honest with himself. I think he's not just deceiving her. I think he's deceiving himself, if I'm honest.
You make me feel like I won't have to hide anything. I won't have to be anybody other than Carlton.
And then he said, obviously, that, he feels like he's fallen in love with Diamond. He feels free. He feels comforted. He feels accepted. And I'm like, blood, but you haven't told her the full truth. So how can she fully accept you for you if you haven't told her the full truth? You're saying you feel loved, you feel accepted. How is that possible when you've not told her the full truth? Again, contradictory statement. And a lot of people do make this in relationships where they make contradictory statements because they're not honest with their partner. And they're not honest with themselves. That's the reason why oftentimes they're deceptive. You're often deceptive to other people because you yourself are not honest with yourself. There's a problem. You understand? And you've not fixed it. And so you're not only being deceptive yourself, you're now launching that deception onto other people so that they can see you in a better light. Because nobody wants to be seen as a bad guy. Nobody wants to be seen as the evil guy or the villain or the enemy. We all want to be seen in a good light. So here we're seeing that he's trying to portray this nice guy vibe, right? And unfortunately, he's lying. It's that simple truth, bruv. Yeah?
I think God put you in my life for a reason. I think you are a phenomenal person. Throughout this whole process, you have been vulnerable.
And what's a shame about this particular thing is that, Diamond said, she felt safe around him. She felt confident around him. She felt like, somebody who really, someone actually really cared about her. And that is the painful thing when I'm talking about this deception. And what it reminded me of is the Philip Schofield situation in the UK, where we had an ITV3 TV presenter who had been lying to he lied to us on the audience for 27 years that, whilst he's been married, he's actually gay. And then obviously he must have been lying in a relationship anyway during the course of the marriage that he married a woman. And it's like, everybody was like, yeah, we can understand it. No, we can't understand that. You've ruined someone else's life. You know what I'm saying? You've taken somebody else's time out. And this is what, Carlton was going to do. What acceptance, because you want acceptance. So what will happen is you'll marry Diamond, we will be accepting of your relationship, you'll feel accepted, but then eventually you'll come to a point where you can't stop being who you are, and then you'll be like, I wish everybody would just let me be me, I've got to come out now, and everyone should just deal with it. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen. Because you can't stop being who you are. You understand? So for me, I don't like them things there. You've caused someone else to trip over the line when you know full well that you're not about it. Did you see the way the girl was crying when he proposed? Did you see the way the girl was saying, like, you know what, I saw my dad's butterflies, and you know what, I knew my dad was looking over me. Did you see the way that she was praying, that said she prayed to God? Did you see all of that? You heard all of that. You heard all of that, but you still decide to be deceptive. But you want the person to accept you, but you have not told the truth, blood. I get it is a difficult thing to come out to, but you cannot drag somebody else into your madness. Come on, man. Not without being honest. At least let the person know where you stand. So at least they can say, listen, I'm not about it or I'm about it. Come on. That's real acceptance right there. Whew. Not only that, he made a promise as well while I was in the room as well, saying,
I got you. I got you forever. I'm never going to break your heart.
I will never hurt you. Blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, dog. The moment you haven't been honest, you're ready to hurt her heart. You made a false promise. And I don't understand why you didn't understand this before you started. This was going to be a false promise. You can't keep that promise, unfortunately. Because in the nature of things, you know that what you're doing is incorrect. And whether this woman will accept it, it's going to be another story. You know, because you said you're fluid. Not that you were bisexual and you had a past. You're fluid. You're still going. That is a problem. You know, that is a problem. And that's the situation. And I think one of the things he said, obviously, the biggest fear is like not being accepted, you know, and being rejected. And I'm like, okay, so I get it. You know, the biggest things that happened to him are those particular aspects. You know, the situation with, you know, in the past where you've been rejected for who you are. And that can be very painful. And in fact, a lot of times in relationships, we do things to be accepted. This is what the self-actualization is. When you move towards people, you do certain things to fit into the social norm and the social gathering, when you may not necessarily might even like it, but because the gathering does it, you'll do it too. There are other issues where of being rejected, where we won't do certain things because we don't want to be rejected by people, even though we like it. You understand? It's a bit like the whole when you were younger. Excuse my, you know, nowadays if you've got kids, just cover your ears. But when it comes to sex, right? And dudes will be telling you, nah, brother, man don't go down on no girl, man don't lick nothing like that, fam, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, in his room, he is doing all them things there with the girl them. Yeah? Why? Because fear of rejection from the boys, he doesn't tell us. But when he's in his room one-to-one, he does everything with the girl. You know what I'm saying? Because of that. So you can see that people do things because of fear of being rejected or the wanting to be accepted. And so sometimes these things play a part in our relationships, and they cause us to make decisions that we ordinarily shouldn't really make. Sometimes even people choose a partner solely based on the fact that the man will say, yeah, that girl's Chris, but she's not the right girl for you. Girls too sometimes will choose a guy. He is absolute nonsense, but because, you know what, the girls have said, listen, he's a fine as flip, like, you can't let that go. She wants acceptance, and she decides to take that man on. Do you understand? So, look, there are times where we do things in relationship. What you need to do is learn to understand, am I making a decision based on my rejection or my acceptance? Or am I making a decision based on what I actually want? You know, and that's a big, big call. The only way you can actually know that is to literally, you know, really sit down with yourself and critically analyze yourself where you stand. So, yeah, guys, that was my review of on part 1 of episode 2 for Love is Blind. If you like what we're doing, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button below. Comment down below what your thoughts are as well. I really thought he was deceptive by doing this, and Paul Diamond as well. And wait till we're going to get into the Barnett and Jess situation, and Jess and Mark situation is going to get mad. Trust me. Appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded.